On today's episode of Family Secrets, Lawrence David Chapman. What happened to him? Okay, so my father, Lawrence David Chapman, or Dave Chapman as he went by, um, in 1994 was found dead by his girlfriend or fiance, Carol. And they apparently had been going to the bar. He forgot his guitar. They went back. They had an argument. She was in the car. He went into the house. He went upstairs to get his guitar, and she heard a gunshot. So then she called the police, and you know, um, another story is that she told us, my mother and myself and aunt, and that is that she was downstairs in the living room, the big living room. There was two living rooms in that house. It was kind of weird because it was an attached garage that was made into a larger living room. She was there, and she heard the gunshot upstairs, went upstairs, and saw him there dead. Now, in the police report, she put or told the police, I believe it was the Pontiac Police Department at the time, because I don't think South Lyon had their own real police department for doing stuff back. I mean, South Lyon was kind of a small country town. Um, so in the police report, she told the police that she was in the upstairs bathroom when she heard the gunshot and looked out and saw my father laying there in the hall or whatever. Now, there's also a report saying, or also in the report, it was saying that the police, when they got there, they filled out that they had to force the door open to see my father because he was laying up against the door. So Carol could not have seen him until after they had opened the door and got him off the door. Now, obviously, a body can be leaned against the door, and somebody can close the door to where the body kind of drapes against it when you close it. That's one kind of theory we have. Because when we went into the house later on to get our church clothes, which we were not originally permitted to by his father, the grandfather, who is just a horrible person, when we finally were allowed in there, in the hallway upstairs, the carpeting was ripped up, and there was a large, very large blood stain and stains random places on the wall in the hall. So if he had shot himself in the bedroom, why was all the blood outside in the hallway and on the wall? And also you might think, oh, well, maybe, the house was built in the 1830s, the floor was sagged, and the blood ran there and pooled. Well, there was no trail of blood coming from under the door, just so you know. All the blood was just either on the wall or on the floor. So to me, that seemed kind of strange that he died in the bedroom when there was no signs that he had really died in the bedroom. Um, he could have been put in the bedroom after he was killed again. Like the police said, they had to push the door open. So there could have been actually two piles of blood. But still, that doesn't explain the blood on the wall if the door was closed. So, before this happened, a time before his death, we had caller ID in that house, which was a wall mounted unit. And we were always told if it doesn't have a certain number, or if it is this specific number, do not answer it. Because Carol's ex-husband or boyfriend had been continuously threatening to kill my father. So we knew not to answer the phone and stuff or answer the door if somebody was there that we did not recognize. Now, somebody had broken into the house this is like before my father passed. They broke into the house when there was a car in the driveway. Not unheard of. I mean, people have multiple cars and they get broken into when there's still vehicles in the drive. But what is strange is the fact that the lights were all in the house because we were all home alone, the kids, or us kids. And we're not going to shut the lights off. We're just kids. We just leave the lights on. So the lights are all on the house. Upstairs, music playing and everything. We're running around. Someone breaks into the house. And the first place they head is upstairs because the alarm system had the laser or whatever in the opening to the stairs. They went upstairs. And when that went off, they ran out of the house. Now, they looked into Carol's ex, and apparently he had an alibi, which an alibi can be faked, in my opinion. I mean, if you don't have a paper trail actually proving it or whatever, someone will lie, especially for a friend. So, and in the police report, it's very empty. It does not list a type of gun used. It does not list the serial number of the gun used. Also, the autopsy report just says gunshot wound to the head. It doesn't say anything else. They did not check for powder burns to see if he even fired the gun himself. And even if they had looked into Carol's ex and he had an alibi, doesn't mean that alibi was honest. And they did not really look into stuff very well because they did not check him for powder burns or anything, or even if he had possibly hired somebody to go after my father. Like I said, he was constantly calling, threatening to kill him. He was even stalking Carol. Now, the funeral was really rushed, quite abrupt. I mean, it was very quick when it happened, and we weren't supposed to be in the house. The grandfather did not want us there. Our mother's step-husband at the time, or our stepfather, Tom, actually got the grandfather by threatening the grandfather to let us in to get our church closed so we could go to the funeral. While waiting for the funeral, for when it was going to be, because no one was telling us, a family friend contacted my mother asking what time we're going to be there on Thursday or whatever day it was. And that's how we found out about the funeral, because we were not welcome at the funeral. We weren't mentioned at the funeral that he even had kids or anything. So a lot of people that were there had no idea who we were. But I and a few others believe that the reason the funeral was rushed is because the grandfather, my dad's dad, did not want things investigated because he was worried things in his past would come up. Because that side of the family, you could ask them all the questions you wanted about history. The only answer you would ever get is we're Canadian. That's it. You would get no family history at all from that family. My mom's side, you get like the Irish, you get the French Canadian on this, for this parent's parent, this one is like Croatian and Native American and stuff. So, the branches go back. But on my dad's side, no, Canadian. That's it. So like I said, things make sense as a possible suicide, but they also could be possible something else. Why are things not filled out? Why is there 3 different stories from Carol? Why were things not investigated? It's just something that some of the family and myself believe there's something covered up or not looked into. Conspiracy theories, like theorists, are we? I don't know, with certain things, yeah, I guess. But it was just one of those things, I was only 8 at the time. So it wasn't like I could really do much of my own research looking into it until I got older. But the paper trail is kind of just gone. But anyway, that's episode 1.